I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the WANDRD Transit Travel Backpack, which I've been testing for 2 weeks. Let's dive in. Starting off with the materials on this thing, we have a waterproof tarpaulin face. So this bag itself is not waterproof, but there are a lot of water resistant materials around the entire bag that help give it a lot of durability when you're outside as well. So we have the tarpaulin on the outside, which has that kind of like tarpy, crunchy, kind of shiny look to it. And then we also have a Robic 1680D ballistic nylon on the base, and that gives you some abrasion resistance. So in general, I feel like this thing is really sturdy. You can like barely see really. Tarpaulin scratches up really easily, so from like an aesthetic standpoint, if that will bother you, that's something to keep in mind. But I only have, I mean, you can barely even see them. There's a couple of scratches on the front. They're like right there. This thing's heavy, so it's hard to pick up. So on the front, pretty simple. We have pockets and features all over the place, but we have this WANDRD logo here. This is almost like a, it's kind of like a rubber patch feeling thing. It is just stitched on, so over here there's like some corners are popping up, but it doesn't feel like it's going to fall off, just something to keep in mind. We also have attachment points kind of across the board here. We have two on the front. They sell accessory straps aftermarket, so you can buy those and use those outside and also on the inside of the bag. And then there's also attachment points up at the top here, so you can attach gear. There is a buckle right on this side, but this is more of to secure anything you put in this water bottle pocket, which we'll get into in a second, versus like actual compressing the bag. As you can see, it's pretty structured. It's not like going to crunch down at all. So that's really just to lock your gear down. In terms of side carry handles, we have one on each side. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and there it is, the third one. And you can move this really easily from side to side. These are nice and padded. They feel pretty substantial. So no crazy things to report on that front. And so this is actually the 35-liter size. So there is an expansion zipper on the outside here, which is like the frontmost zipper that goes all the way around the bag. And this gives you an extra 5 liters of expansion, which means that this expands up to 35 liters, but the bag itself is only 30 liters. So if that is a deal breaker, that's something you want to pay attention to. They also have a 45 liter, but it's the same deal. It's a 40-liter bag with 5 liters of expansion. So you can get up to 45 liters. So the outside is pretty feature heavy, but a lot of that comes down to like the extra pockets and accessibility points and all that. So we can get into that right now. The harness system is pretty beefy. So you can see these, like entire back panel has some pretty significant padding. This is a Velcro opening, which I'll show you in a moment. But you can see it's like almost like I would say it's probably like an inch to maybe like a 1.5 inches of padding. And there are the 4 panels. You have 3 panels, 1, 2, 3. And then we have some decent padding on the underside of these straps as well. The straps are pretty comfy. They're really nice and flexible. I didn't really have any issues with carry comfort with this thing. I can definitely feel these back panel padding, but not anything too crazy. If you wanted to, you could attach a hip belt on the bottom here. That's another thing that they do aftermarket. But these load lifters do a pretty significant job at you know, keep taking a lot of the weight off of my shoulders. What I do like is this sternum strap. So it pulls off with like a little paracord pull, and they have stopping points along here. So once it's attached, you can't actually move it up and down, but once you find where you want to select it, you just pop it on, it locks into place, and then you can easily pull it off. You can also pop it on to the same side so that it's not like flopping around when you're not using it. So I do really like that. I really like it as well because that means there's no buckle in the center, because a lot of times a buckle in the center, you'll feel it like against your chest or something. So pretty comfortable, easy to use, pretty intuitive. We also have attachment points all along each of the straps. And then this back panel, there's a little like strap here, which you can pull open. And this gives you access to a hidden zippered pocket, which is a great spot for like a passport or something like that, but primarily flat items because it's not overly stretchy or comfortable to stick like thick items in there. And then you can stow the backpack straps away, which comes in handy if you want to use the luggage pass-through, which actually goes underneath the entire harness system there. So a lot of different features on the back here. I feel like they're all pretty intuitive. I didn't find myself using the stowaway feature super often. Just doesn't really feel that like slick and sleek to me, but it's kind of cool that you have the option to if you want to. This is how the backpack fits when it's on. I don't have a hip belt or anything like that, so it really is a lot of the weight is being pulled off by these load lifters on the shoulder straps and then the sternum strap as well. And like I mentioned before, it does a pretty good job at lifting that weight, so I don't really feel like I'm missing that hip belt, but the hip belt is something that I would want to add if this was like really fully packed out absolutely to the brim and it was going to be really heavy with like camera gear or something like that, because it does start to get a little bit heavy down here. Like I mentioned as well, the padding is pretty substantial. I can definitely feel the different individual mesh padding panels on the back, but it's not like uncomfortable or anything like that. So, you know, once this thing is actually on and locked into place, it's pretty comfortable. And then just kind of as an example, when this is on, super easy to take that sternum strap off and just kind of adjust it as needed. Here is where things start to get a little bit crazy. So there are pockets all over this thing and a lot of them lock. So I'm gonna start off with that locking feature. You can see it best. This is the main compartment zipper. And these two zipper pulls, they're like beefy YKK zippers, and the zipper pulls slot together. So you can see there's like a little bit of a notch on the top there and then a notch on the actual pull itself. And so what you do is you line up the notches. It's like at, you know, a right angle with each other, and then you slide them into each other, and then they do not separate. So I didn't find myself doing this super often. I really had to fuss with it when I first started using this bag. It was just a little bit too tedious for me, but I do like that it's built in. So if you didn't want to have to deal with like an external lock or something like that, that's kind of a cool feature. So the main compartment locks, the side access zippered compartments lock, and then the top zipper. When the bag came, it was locked with the laptop compartment. So that adds like a little bit of device protection as well. So kind of a cool feature, but I didn't really find myself using it a ton. Then again, if you don't use it, it doesn't get in the way, kind of cool. So if you're looking at all of the like side pockets that we have here, there's a lot of mirroring going on. Starting off, we have a side water bottle pocket or like an accessory pocket. So if you wanted to, if you're using this as like your camera bag, you can fit a like tripod or something in here. This fit just like a pretty standard water bottle, like a 19 ounce or something for me. But if you put like a tripod in here, then that's where I mentioned you would lock it down with this buckle. You do sort of lose access to this carry handle when this is closed, because you see it's like kind of coming up halfway up that handle, so it's not a super comfortable carry. Then again, you're not carrying the bag like this, you're just kind of grabbing it. So it's kind of like a small potatoes, but you do lose, you know, a good couple inches of that carry handle. But I do really like that it's got that mesh like expansion that zips all the way around, so you can really like nestle an item in there versus it getting kind of like wedged in and then not actually going all the way down to the bottom. We also have on the other side a external pocket, which I actually use this as my water bottle pocket, just because I liked it a little bit more for that. So it has a gusset, which sometimes this gusset would get caught in the zipper because it would be out like that and then it would get kind of stuck in there. So that's kind of something a little bit more tedious. But you do have a decent amount of room in here. This is a 19 ounce bottle that fit in there like a glove. But if you want to put like, I don't know, an extra pair of shoes or like sandals or something like that in here, you totally could. Really anything could fit in here. And then it's got a little zipper garage for some extra weather protection. And then if water does get in here, there's a drainage hole to help that get out. So that's pretty cool. We also have this bottom zippered pocket, which is for like a rain fly or something like that. They do sell an aftermarket rain fly if that's something that you're interested in. These zipper pulls have more of like a little grippy ergonomic shape to them, which I personally really like. And then we also have more attachment points on the bottom for their accessory straps. Another pocket that we have is up at the top. This top pocket is just sort of like a drop catch-all grab pocket. Just have a phone in there. You can see the stitching, which goes to a pocket on the inside for an AirTag, but this here, it's like in the dead center, and you can see that even when there's nothing in here, you still have all of that volume. So that's something that I saw a lot with this bag in general, where even if a pocket was completely packed out, there was still like a lot of extra crunchy space left over. So it just sort of looked lumpy regardless of what I had stored in here. And then on the back, we have another pocket, and this goes to, you can see it's like attached to these load lifter straps here. And this is actually where a key leash is. And I have my keys attached to that. So it's easy to get those off, set those off to the side. This pocket, you know, stays out of the way. If you don't want to use it, that's totally fine. But it does have all of its like own individual storage capacity, so it's not going to cut into that main compartment, which is good. And then the other two bags that other two pockets that we have are on the front here. We have one on each side. This side here is just completely open. So I have just like a hat in here. And then this other side is split into two. So you can see it's stitched down the center. And then on the inside, it has two mesh pockets. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets total. So in here, I have some like tech items. This adds a little bit of organization, keeps things from getting lost. However, these two pockets do interact with each other. So in this case, I have my hand here, it's at the very top of the bag. And then when I put my hand in this pocket, it's, oh no, that's opposite. So when I put my hand in here, it's at the very top of the bag. And then when I put my hand in here, I can put my hands on top of each other. So that means the more gear you load into one pocket, the less room you're gonna have for the other. I found this to get a little bit tight, so I didn't find myself loading both of these out a ton. I lean towards using the one with the mesh pockets, but your mileage is gonna vary depending on what kind of gear you're storing and accessing during the day. If you're finding this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. And for now, we will get into the main compartment. So there are 3 different ways to access this. There are quick access pockets on either side, and then the actual main compartment zipper. So when you're looking at either side here, this is where I mentioned that symmetry. You have this quick access zipper, which gives you access to this side, and then a quick access zipper that gives you access to the other side. And notice how this attachment, like clip, doesn't get in the way. That means that you can quickly get in and out. This is where it would come in handy if, like, for example, on the other side, I had a toiletry bag. So if I was going through TSA, that'd be handy because I can just reach in, grab my stuff out, and pop it back in. So if you pack strategically, you can kind of get through security a bit faster. The other time this comes in handy is if you use their like photo kit, essentially. So this is compatible with their photography, like cubes and all of their accessories and things like that. So if that's something that you want to use this bag for, that's great for that. When you open this up, you can see that there is a mesh pocket with like a little opening up here, so you can like stick items in there. And then there's a Velcro right here, which Velcro, obviously you saw me trying to get that open. It's very secure, for better or for worse, but is open on either side. So keep that in mind when like eventually you flip this technically like upside down for a half second, something could fall out. And then we have the Velcro on this side, which helps lock down their cubes. So if you're not using that, that just kind of stays out of the way. The biggest thing that I noticed with the zippers all over this bag is because of these AquaGuard style zippers and all of these really like rounded kind of edgy corners, I had a hard time unzipping this thing very smoothly. So obviously, it hasn't really done it much this time. Usually when we're shooting, it doesn't like to do the things that we noticed throughout our testing period, but that was one of the biggest things I noticed, was just kind of that, okay, I guess, no, it's not really doing it much. Oh, because if I'm pulling it up, you can kind of see it's just getting caught around that like edge, that like rounded corner. It's just a little sharp, I think. So getting in and out of it was a little bit tedious sometimes. This main compartment especially feels like I have to kind of put my back into it to get it open, which I guess is a good thing, you know, just for anti-theft purposes. But for me personally, it just was a little bit obnoxious, I guess, to get in and out of quickly. I guess that's what the quick access pockets are for. But you open this up, you can see I've just got some packing cubes in here. They say that this is for 3 to 5+ days. I can definitely get 5+ days in here, absolutely no problem. I think if you are good at minimalist packing, or if you have like a capsule wardrobe, or you're just like, I don't know, I guess depending on the season as well, you can get like a decent amount of cubes in here. It also works with their WANDRD cubes. So if you're interested in the system, that's pretty cool. And then we have attachment points kind of all across the board here for attaching all of your, like their If you want to use like the tie-down accessories, those are also sold separately. You can do that, or you can add your own, or you can do their camera gear or something like that. And then this is where that hidden air tag pocket is. So you can see that's the stitching that we saw on the underside in this pocket here. And then when it comes to additional storage, you saw these are those pockets that you can see on this side access. So that's like those there that you see when you open up the bag really quickly. The other thing that I noticed is that I just kind of got like lost very frequently in this bag, especially from the outside, because it is so symmetrical. I like thought I was opening one side and I was actually opening the other. And that just got a little bit like, my brain just didn't love that too much. But I think, you know, the more you use the bag, the easier it's gonna get to like reorient yourself. I also have on this front lid here, these are like mesh pockets where I just usually use these for like used socks and underwear and things like that, because otherwise they just stay out of the way. But you could just put any additional gear that you want in there. Like if you wanted to put one of these cubes in there, you totally could. And then this side actually opens as well. There are two little like loops here where you can grab this and just yank it right open, which is a feature that you see on other WANDRD bags. And in here, I've just got like a big thick hoodie, crew neck, and then a big thick pair of sweatpants. So these are like, you know, theoretically, if this was like your pajamas, or you can put your shoes in here or something like that. And then when you're done, it just zips right up nice and easy. This is also where that expansion comes in. So if you do the expansion zipper, should have closed that all the way first. If you do the expansion zipper, that is where all of that extra space goes, is into this top compartment. So you can get, you know, that extra 5 liters of space in this side of the bag. So in general, I think it functions very much like a travel backpack that we've seen before, you know, in terms of like the organization and zippered compartments and things like that. But the added usability for camera gear is really great if that's something that you're interested in. And then otherwise, you know, it's pretty decent in terms of storage space for all of the other regular gear that you carry on any trip. And then one actual last compartment that I forgot to mention is the laptop compartment. So that's on the outside here. You can see it's kind of covered by like zipper pulls and things like that. But that is just nice and easy to open. And then this holds a 16-inch device. And here there's like a little panel that divides it, and this has pretty like decent structure to it. And in here is where it's a little bit of a false bottom, and on this side there's not. The thing I don't love about that is that this then is, I mean, there's decent padding here, but it's not anything intense. And so your device kind of becomes your back panel or like your frame sheet. In this case, I would almost prefer having a little bit less of a false bottom, and then just putting my device up against all of my like softer clothing that's on the inside of my bag. But obviously you have all this space to do whatever you want with this pocket. You're not obligated to put your laptop in a specific area. So that's pretty great. It's just in general with the bag, just a little bit floppier, I guess. Like no matter how much I had this thing packed out, it always had this sort of like crumply aesthetic. So if that doesn't bother you, or if that's something that you like, then this is a pretty great option. So there you have it, the WANDRD Transit Backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.